What's up, fantasy managers? This is the player pause for Thursday night. I'm going to go over 6 players and let you know who I would start or sit from the Carolina Panthers. I know you're interested, so stick around for 7 seconds. You can do it! All right, guys, so I just want to let you know that today's date is 11/7/2023. That's the day I'm recording it. It's going to come out on the 8th. So this information is still a few days before the Thursday night game. So things might change, but I'm going to go ahead and go over it anyway. The over and under is 39, which means there's probably not going to be a lot of scoring in this game. And I'll tell you why. The Carolina Panthers, they're 26th in scoring, averaging 17.5 points per game, and 28th in total offense at 283 yards a game. And the Chicago Bears defense is 28th in defensive scoring, allowing 26 points per game, and 19th in total defense, allowing 336 yards a game. So we're seeing like a bad offense going against a bad defense. Which one's going to win? Heading into Week 10, Pro Football Network has Panthers offensive line 23rd overall. They can't seem to find a right combination with injuries and poor play at the offensive line. Their interior is like a constant revolving door. Panthers allow 3.6 sacks, which is 28th in the league. And the Bears are dead last in the league, averaging 1.1 sacks a game and 23rd in giving up 5.4 yards per play. So, yeah, they're bad on both ends of the ball. So for the Carolina Panthers, it's like, are we going to see them do well against the Chicago Bears' terrible defense? Or are we going to see the Carolina Panthers play terrible on offense? Either one can happen. Let's talk about the injuries from the Carolina Panthers. Their offensive tackle, Ikem Ekwonu, he has been full practice today, but he was listed with an unknown injury. So whatever, he was at full practice. And wide receiver DJ Chark, elbow, he didn't practice today. Okay, so now I'm going to begin the player pause for Thursday night with the Carolina Panthers. And I'm going to start with the number 1 overall draft pick in the 2023 draft, Bryce Young. Last week, he was 23 for 39, 173 passing yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions. He did have 5 rushes for 41 yards. He is quarterback 28 versus a defense that allows 21 points to opposing quarterbacks. The Bears have given up the most touchdown passes on the season with 20. The Bears defense has 4 games with 3 passing touchdowns and 6 games with multiple touchdowns. This is set up to be good for Bryce Young. He only has 1 multiple touchdown game this year. But Young struggles with turnovers. He has more turnovers than passing touchdowns, 8 touchdowns, 9 turnovers, and hasn't reached 200 yards in 3 out of the 7 games, and has never eclipsed 250 yards this season. This can be a result of his average completion air yards is only 4.3. So compare his 4.3 average with only 252 passing attempts this year, you're not going to earn a lot of yards. And he doesn't complete downfield passes. His longest completed air distance is 39 yards. That is 3rd lowest in the league, only above Mac Jones and Jimmy Garoppolo. This can be the matchup that Bryce Young needs to score over 17 points. But he makes bad decisions and turns the ball over. So I pause Bryce Young. Now I'm going to discuss one of the 2 running backs for this player pause episode, starting with Chuba Hubbard. Last week, he had 16 rushes for 58 yards, and he averaged 3.6 yards per carry and 4 receptions for 9 yards on 6 targets. He's running back 38 versus a defense that allows 24 points to opposing running backs. The Bears have allowed only 4 rushing touchdowns, but allowed the most receiving touchdowns to running backs with 5. And they are 3rd in giving up receptions to running backs with 70. That averages to 7.5 receptions a game. And Hubbard could catch the ball. He had 4 receptions last week. Since week 4, Hubbard has 14 or more carries in 4 out of the 5 games. As of right now, he took over the lead back duties. And every lead back to face the Bears this year has scored over 10 points except Josh Jacobs. Hubbard's rushing yards per attempt over expectation is 0.34, and 47% of the time he rushes over expected, which means he does better than what is expected when rushing the ball. Even though the Bears allow 24 points to opposing running backs, they also have the best yards per attempt average against opposing running backs at 3.3 yards per carry, if you can believe that. And with that being said, I do like Hubbard's volume. And if he's going to do anything, I believe he's going to get most of his damage through the air. And I can see a reception touchdown. So I play Chuba Hubbard. All right. And the second running back I want to discuss on this player pause is a guy that you probably wasted a 4th or 5th round draft pick on, Miles Sanders, who last week rushed the ball for 6 times for 39 yards. He averaged 6.5 yards per carry and had 3 receptions for 22 yards on 5 targets. He is running back 48 versus the Bears' friendly defense. Sanders gets 8+ men in the box only 7% of the time and has a minus 0.65 rushing yards over expected per attempt. He hasn't been running the ball well until last week. And in that game, Sanders touched the ball 9 times compared to Hubbard's 20. And I believe Sanders didn't even touch the ball until the second half. But with his limited touches, he was more effective out of the two. And because how effective he was in that game, now I'm reading there's a chance for a bigger workload Thursday night. But I haven't seen Frank Wright say anything. Remember, though, this was recorded on 11/7, a few days before Thursday. There is still time for some solid reports. But Hubbard has been the more consistent running back this season. I still need to see Sanders get more opportunities. I pause Miles Sanders. And now let's talk about the wide receiver whose ADP was round 11 and is now likely winning you games, Adam Thielen. So last week he had 5 receptions for 29 yards on 6 targets. He likely didn't help you get a win last week, but he is wide receiver 10 versus a defense allowing 34 points to wide receivers. The Bears have given up 10 passing touchdowns to wide receivers. That is in the top 5 for most. Teams are attacking this defense any way they can. It's like with a little bit of this and a little bit of that, with a little bit of this and a little bit. Wide receivers tend to do well against the Bears. Mike Evans scored the most points against the Bears in week 2. So wide receivers don't typically bust when they're playing against the Bears defense. And now the Bears defense against the slot receiver, Curtis Samuel, 67% in the slot, had a boom game. Keenan Allen, 64% in the slot, had 15 points. Last week, Chris Olave, 41% in the slot, that's more than he spends on the outside, had 16 points against the Bears. Adam Thielen plays in the slot 75% of his snaps. Adam Thielen is in the top 12 for most targeted wide receivers and averages 9.5 targets a game. He is 7th in reception with 62. His average separation is 2.9, which is good. His catch rate is 81%, which is the highest out of any wide receiver over 70 targets. Fantasy pros have Thielen ranked 8th in red zone efficiency, 7 receptions on 11 targets with 4 touchdowns. All of his touchdowns have come in the red zone. This guy has only scored under 10 points twice and has 3 games over 20 points and 4 games with 10+ targets. Thielen has 76 targets. Next wide receiver up to him on the Panthers, Jonathan Mingo with 38. Thielen is obviously the trusted veteran for Bryce Young. Let's get a bounce back week, and I play Adam Thielen. And the other wide receiver I'm going to discuss is DJ Chark. Last week, he had 2 receptions, 9 yards on 3 targets. He's wide receiver 92 versus a defense allowing 34 points to wide receivers. With 34 targets on the year, DJ has only managed 17 receptions. That is a bad catch rate at 50%. He does have 3 touchdowns this season and 1 game over 15 points. If he doesn't score a touchdown, his points are like 3 points, 3 points, 3.5 points. He doesn't get enough volume with Bryce Young as quarterback. And wide receiver 2 averages close to 8 points a game against the Bears. I pause DJ Chark. All right, let's finish this player pause with my big brother, Hayden Hurst. Last week, he had 2 receptions, 54 yards on 4 targets. He's tight end 28 versus a defense that allows 13 points to tight ends, which is good. This defense allowed big games from Travis Kelce, TJ Hawkinson, Logan Thomas, Donald Parham, and last week to Jawan Johnson. But if you go and look at the receptions from these players against the Bears, Kelce had 8, Thomas had 9, Hawkinson had 6, and even Cade Otton had 6 receptions. In the last 5 games, Hurts averages 1 reception and 3 targets. He has 7.5 points in the last 3 games. Now, with the tight ends on bye and on IR, you can't convince me to start Hayden with no volume. Look into Gerald Everett and Trey McBride before starting this guy. I pause Hayden Hurst. Now I'm just going to sum up this whole thing with some of my final thoughts. Bryce Young is rostered in 15% of ESPN leagues, and there's a reason. He is making rookie mistakes. There's no option after Thielen, and his offensive line is one of the worst in the league. This is a great matchup for Bryce Young, but until the turnovers stop, he shouldn't be started. Chuba Hubbard has been the most consistent back for the Panthers. He took the starting running back job from Miles Sanders, but he didn't have to do much. He is still running back 38. If you have running backs that are on buys or injured, Hubbard can do well this week because of his volume against a team who allows 6th most points to running backs. Miles Sanders lost his starting job and was dealing with injuries since the preseason. He might be healthy again because of his effectiveness against the Colts, but until we see more than 9 touches, he is irrelevant. He ain't no Keaton Mitchell. Adam Thielen is the guy in the receiving game, the one and only guy. Bryce Young appears to know the veteran wide receiver is his best option on every play. That's why Thielen is wide receiver 10 on an offense that can't score. DJ Chark is questionable with the elbow injury, but if he were healthy, I wouldn't play him because he is touchdown dependent. Without a touchdown, he averages only 3 points a game, and he's also 3rd on the team for targets. Jonathan Mingo could take some of those targets if Chark doesn't play, but with a catch rate of 52%, I don't trust Mingo either. Hayden Hurst started the season great with a 15-point game PPR. People traded for him and spent FOB on him. Since week 1, he has scored over 6 points once. He is not involved in this offense. All right, that's it. We made it to the end of this video. I truly believe that all the information in this video will help you decide on who to play or who to pause for the Thursday night game. We do have more videos coming out. Tyler has his video coming out tomorrow, his player pause on the Chicago Bears. We also have a Friday's episode that we go over the start of the week. If you guys haven't yet, if you guys could send a sub or press the like, it goes a long way. And we appreciate all you zoners out there that have been helping us out. I'll see you later this week. Deuces.